Has been very delayed. Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. We are back. Yes. We pre-filmed a lot of content. As you know, our Vlogmas series didn't go the entire month. It went for part of it. And then we used the other part to focus on family and some travel and some fun stuff. And I, pre-filmed some content before we left, and other content I've surprised that we have traveled because we've uploaded videos kind of along the way, usually once delayed. But essentially, we went to see family in Houston. Then we went to see family. I'm not a big New Year's resolution. So you'd say, wow, why wouldn't you be a New Year's resolution person? Because my goals, I would try and hope for them to be more permanent and meaningful than just introduce yourself. And basically it's just a goal, completely meaningless, completely frivolous, but a fun goal for the year. What am I trying to do in the world of vinyl? In real life, I'm trying to do things like be healthy, take care of the people I love, be a good father, be a good husband, having as a New Year resolution. So I don't have that yet. It's not New Year's yet. It's not even New Year's Eve. So I will reserve that for a future thing. I don't even know I'm talking about that. But we're back here. I didn't want to wait until then, though. I didn't want to wait till the new year to jump into it. Oh, and a wonderful Christmas best. Those of you who have been around for a while may know that in between my first and second surgery, and quite nervous about the future, I've learned a lot about managing my anxiety. So this is a very peaceful Christmas. And, I really enjoyed that. So we did kind of what we did last year. And then we went up to Denver to see more family. And then eventually came back. And of course, sprinkle. It's hard enough that I have to go, days and weeks without access to a record player to play records on, especially when you accumulate records on. It's kind of fun. It's not kind of fun. It's very, very fun to come back and say, yes, my precious record player, I've missed you. And just, get to see family. And I know that that's a sensitive subject. People have lost loved ones. People have a hard time. It's a stressful time, even if everything is full time, getting, to travel, time away from work and all that stuff, change routine. So I totally get, I want to be sensitive to that as well. I know some people, it's not their favorite time of year. For me, it is one of my very favorite times. I love it so very, very much. But yeah, really, we just had a great time. It was perfect. So, and we had so much fun. So yeah, but here we are back in Orlando, back in the city, beautiful, and we are back at it. So we're going to be spinning the channel back up to the regular video cadence, kick back in. What will that cadence be? At one time I had even on my banner, when shows were posted, and I know some people say new shows every Wednesday, stuff like that. And, we tried to post 2. It's kind of our benchmark. At one time, we were doing a daily show, not even Vlogmas, but just like a daily record show. I did that for 9 months. I don't think I'll do that again. I apologize if the stream is struggling. I noticed the network was a little iffy tonight, so I apologize for that. Interesting experience trying to trim that up a bit, and I have decided to keep it informal. It's important for YouTube that you do it regularly, but you don't have to be like so methodical that it goes up at the exact same time. We have done that and we have not done that, and there's no big difference other than that we are posting frequently, which is usually a couple of shows, usually a midweek one and usually a weekend one. And the day that they're actually posted may adjust a bit. So yeah, I apologize with breaking up, everybody. It's is it audio and video or just audio? Let me know what you think there. So anyway, yeah, just wanted to let you know. Went to a few record shops. I didn't stop by Kirk in Houston this time. Did that back in October, and that's that's kind of a once every 2 years kind of a special deal. So if you missed that, definitely go back and check that out. I got a couple of records for Christmas, so of course I'll do that. It's only a couple of records. I didn't get a ton of vinyl. Really, Christmas this year for us was about the family being together and being thankful for, feeling good and being healthy and stuff like that. Okay, now I'm getting a warning that the thing is frozen. So can you guys still see me? I hope you can. I don't know what the deal is. Now my timer is locked up. I can see myself talking. I'm not getting any chats there. It just says page unresponsive, which is a bummer. I don't know why the internet is having a problem today. I'm on my 5 gig network. I mean my 5.0 network. Interesting. Can anybody see or hear me? Wow. Okay, I might have to jump out of the stream and back in. Okay, it's supposedly spinning up again. Okay, it says I'm live again. Can you guys see and hear me? Anybody there? I apologize. I don't know what the deal is. Shoot me a comment if that is the case. So let's see. While we were in Houston, we did a few different attractions and things, and with the family, and then same thing in Denver. In Denver, we went to Meow Wolf. If you haven't been to Meow Wolf, it's impossible to describe. They call it like an interactive. Oh, thank you very much, Alex. I appreciate it. Yes, I'm glad I'm back on now. Okay, sorry about that. I'm very. It's trying to describe Meow Wolf. There's like 4 or 5 of them across the country. The one in Denver is unlike the others. Basically, imagine like a 5-story building that is sort of like a giant children's museum for adults. And then you would say, well, doesn't that mean it's a regular museum? Well, no, because it's all highly interactive. Like you get dropped off in this area that looks like Tokyo in the year 3000. And all of the storefronts are real. All of the pay phones really have somebody talking on the other end. All of the doors open to stuff. All of the newspaper machines do something, but they don't do what you would expect it to do. So, for instance, you go into the laundromat, and then you open up one of the machines, and it's a tunnel that goes down to another level. And then, you'll be in this giant crystal castle thing, and there's like these little gargoyles that spin for no apparent reason. And then, there may be a ball pit. There may be a giant, upside down city bus, and there may be musical instruments that play themselves. 5 stories of this nonsense. And I say nonsense in the best way. It's great. I love it. One of my favorite areas of it is this thing called the Pizza Pals Play Zone. This is a sticker from it. And basically it's like a kind of, imagine like Showbiz Pizza of the 1980s. And they have their own characters and all this. They have merch and all this stuff. But it's a little bit off kilter. Like there's something off about it. I love it. It's so incredible. So Connection Station, is that what it's called? I'm not sure if that's the name of the one in Denver, but anyway, it's cool. All right, so we did that. We did went up to the ice castles in Cripple Creek, high elevation. We're talking like 10,000 foot elevation, if not even a little bit higher. When you're adjusted to Florida altitude and air, or elevation and air, it's a tricky thing. Even though I'm a native to Colorado, I was feeling the elevation. I really, really was. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had a good time and got to see a few things. It was good. What did you guys do for Christmas? Let me know down in the comments below. Just got back from spending the entire week up at the ski area. Awesome, Steve. That's great. Which one did you go to? So, yeah, I'm not going to talk about my New Year's goals yet, specifically my vinyl goals. Let's see. What else is there to talk about? I do want to show you the records I got. Again, I didn't get a ton of records, which is fine. I don't need anything. But it was fun to get a couple. So my son gave me this one, Johnny Cash Icon. And these Icon series are sort of like greatest hits, the greatest artists of the 21st century. And I've got like the Patsy Cline Icon. I think I've got 1 or 2 others. So this is the Johnny Cash Icon album, and it's a greatest hits. And this is really, really, really cool. I think this might be a Target exclusive. Let's see. Oh, I can't tell now because the hype sticker is gone. And it's on what they call the Ring of Fire Red. And that looks sick. Look at that. Isn't that cool? I love that. Ring of Fire Red. It's like a red and black splatter. Feels like 180 grams. So here's the tricky wicket, as my dad says, about this was how do you get it home? So, the gifts that we did get, we assumed everybody was just going to give us like gift cards, but we were, blessed beyond belief and got things like stuffed animals and some bulky things, which was awesome. And we had to get creative about how to get home because we went from Orlando to Houston to Denver, and Denver back. So we were accumulating as we go. By the time we got to Denver and Christmas was over, we actually shipped back a lot of stuff. Well, not a lot, it's like 3 smaller shoebox size boxes of knickknacks and things. But this record just wouldn't quite fit. So I'm like, what do I do? And I've carried records on planes before. You can slide it down next to you and between the window, and I just didn't want to deal with that. So I was like, what do I do? I don't want it to warp. I don't want it to break, obviously. I want this record. It's very, very cool. So I decided to put it in my backpack, but to kind of put it in there with some other rigid things that I had. Some paper, this little book. This is actually from Meow Wolf. I'll show you that later. And to be very careful not to, put it on so tight that it bends. It did pretty good. The corners got a little dinged up, and I'm okay with that. It's cosmetic. The record itself is okay. So, but yeah, very, very thankful to have that. So that's one of the 2 records. And then that was from my son. My wife got me this. And this is really, really neat. So it's like volume 1 and 2 of Disney's Ultimate Hits. And it's a gatefold record, 2-disc set. This is also a Target exclusive, although apparently she got this from Amazon. So you can get some of the exclusive editions from Amazon. It was new. But it's the exclusive version is that it's on a unique pressings. And I really like not only the colors of the records, but I like the label. So first check out the label. Isn't that neat how they list them kind of in different fonts, different size fonts? And then this is on a green, kind of a flat green pressing, 180 grams. And the other one, still have the paper sleeves. Temporary. I'll be putting them in the good sleeves when I get around to it. I still have these ones on the floor that have been down here for like 2 months that need to be filed. So I'm behind on that. And then the other one, same label idea, but this one's on blue. It's like a blue marble splatter, kind of like that Weezer record. So this is good. It's got vintage and modern Disney songs, and it's really cool. So I'll share with you some of the songs, what they are. So there's the back, the red and green. That's probably where they got the idea for the red and green pressing. So we've got the Bare Necessities. We've got Let It Go. We've got A Whole New World, Colors of the Wind, Under the Sea, You're Welcome, Chim Chim Cheree, Hakuna Matata, Small World, Zippity Doodah, Mickey Mouse March, all kinds of cool greatest hits things. So I like this because it's a no-nonsense set. It's just like, here's some of the greatest Disney music ever made. Something on here for everybody. And obviously a lot of these songs, and this is just music in general, is what I'm about to say, I think. And that is that it takes you to a time and a place. It's a memory. It's like a trip back in time. It's a time machine. So a lot of these songs I have memories of as a kid, and then a lot of them I have memories, with my kids. So as they were growing up. Massanutten in Virginia. Interesting. Alex says, just stayed close to the house, but I got some Beatles records. Yes. That was me last Christmas, was finishing out the Beatles collection. So right now, my Beatles collection is split between CD and vinyl. Between CD and vinyl, I've got all the UK albums. And I'm trying to decide, is that enough, or do I need to go all in on the vinyl or all in on the CD, or both? I kind of feel like it's enough, though. I feel like I have what I want. I don't think I need, again, I don't want to bulk up. I don't need to bulk up. I don't want to just collect for the sake of collecting. What do you do if the counterweight close to pivot? What do you do Okay, what do you? Sorry, guys. I have a hard time reading comments sometimes out loud and have it make in my mind it makes sense, but saying it out loud. What to do if you want the counterweight close to pivot because the heavy head shell may be an important topic? Okay, so I think what you're asking is how do you balance the tone arm with a heavy head shell? So I've done some videos on that of how to do it, but basically you rotate the counterweight until the tone arm floats in a neutral space. Then you zero out the dial on that counterweight, and then you rotate it to apply the proper tracking force, which depends on the cartridge. But yeah, we've done videos on that. Steve says no records, but did get some new skis, new boots, new snow pants, new heated glove. Dude, I was like, you made me say to yourself, my wife and I every once in a while be like, hey, do you miss Colorado? Do you want to move back? And, you know, if it's like super hot here, you know, one of the annoying Florida things is happening, then we may toy with that idea. But then every time, man, we go back to the cold and we're like, oh, man. And I loved the snow. I was the biggest snow fan. And, you know, my wife still says, well, I thought you liked snow so much. And the last couple of years there, I got to the point where I just literally got over it. I literally had enough. It just started hurting and it wasn't as fun. And especially after Christmas. After Christmas, so snow was the worst. Now that's just me. If you love it, that's great. I hope people like where they're at and what they're doing. But I remember going back. We went back. It was like in the 30s, got down to the 20s. I think it was like 28 when we were in Cripple Creek. And that's not even that cold by Colorado standards, but I was very cold. Well, it's a good thing you got some warm stuff, Steve. Merry Christmas to you too, Eric, and Happy New Year. Yeah, we got awesome things coming. I cannot wait. We were thinking about going to CES and obviously doing a ton of content from there like we did last time we went there, but ultimately called it off. Didn't want to do it. Would have been like in a week. Didn't want to do traveling right after the holidays, so we decided not to. We had an invitation to go out there, and which would have been really fun on one hand. On the other hand, I think I'll be glad to read the press releases from here. And I've talked to a few companies, and there's some really cool stuff coming out. Most of it's under wraps right now because of they put an embargo on things like the pictures and even talking about specifics about it because it's all confidential. And then once CES comes out and they release the stuff, that's the one time a year when they really just release that new stuff. And then it'll be open game. So I don't have anything in hand from that stuff yet, but looking forward to reviewing some of the new stuff that's coming out. Some really cool things coming down the pike, and more of the same as usual. Always trying to refine everything we do to fit what it is that you guys like to watch. And how we know that is by the videos that do well versus the videos that don't do as well. Welcome in, guys. Just got some tea. The sun has set. Still have the tree up. How long do you guys leave the tree up? We leave the tree up usually till New Year's Day. So usually the first, I look around and all of a sudden what used to be magical looking Christmas stuff just looks kind of cluttered and I want it gone. So I'm usually off work. So I spend the day working on packing that up and kind of freshening it up. And then I look around like, oh man, it's so plain looking now. It's like a museum in here. But I feel like too, if it's always out, then it's not as special when it is out. So we kind of usually do it day after Thanksgiving to the day after New Year's is kind of our tradition. Although this year, I think we put it up, the tree and everything up about a week before, maybe a few days before Thanksgiving. Gideon says, hi, I'm getting a record today. I'm waiting for it to arrive. It's a Peeling Flesh album, and the record is gold. Gold pressings are interesting, or gold records are interesting because they try to pull off gold in vinyl. It usually looks like tan. I've got a Elvis record that is a gold record. Hopefully yours looks better than mine does, but that's cool. Steve says, however, that Frank Sinatra record I got from last live stream is really nice. Sounds absolutely fantastic. That's a great record, isn't it? I need to listen. I was able to get through it about twice before we left town. It's a wonderful record, and it's making me think that I should have picked up the Ultimate Sinatra, the non-Christmas Ultimate Sinatra that came out several years ago on vinyl. I've got the CD of it, but It would be nice to have some more Sinatra. I feel like I need more Elvis, more Sinatra. Yeah, I need to round out those a bit. But I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you won that. Getting into trying to collect records. More first good record player for Christmas called the Soundburger. Oh yeah, Soundburger is great. We reviewed that. That's cool. I was just listening to my Soundburger yesterday. Steve says I can't thank Record-ology. Oh, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. We were blessed to be able to do that. Very, very blessed. I'm glad you enjoy it. Glad you won. Chris says got a super rare and super crazy record day. It's Frank Sinatra's first album, not The Voice, but it's called Columbia Presents. Frank Sinatra's on VG Plus, only for $40. That's great. That's really cool. That's really yeah. His Columbia recordings were early. I've got a CD of Frank Sinatra singing with Harry James. It was his first professional gig, 1939. I've got the complete. They were able to fit the complete Frank Sinatra, Harry James recordings on one CD. Then I've got a couple of his CDs with Tommy Dorsey, who we went to after Harry James. And then, yeah, I went solo after that, Columbia, before he ended up Capitol and Reprise, and the rest is history. That's really cool. That's really great. I don't even know if YouTube sent the notification out, old radios. I'm glad you're here. It stopped down at one point. I had to relaunch it, so I don't even know. A cassette of snow. Interesting. Just got back from Syracuse. So cold up there. I bet it was. Oh, the white Christmas. We were close in Colorado. There was old snow on the ground that was still white. Sometimes the old snow gets brown and black after a while, but this was still white snow on the ground. Albeit crunchy, older, icy snow. And then Christmas Eve, it actually was raining and sprinkling a little bit. So you got to see a little bit of that. Just enough. I'm good. I'm fine. Don't need any more. That'll do. I'm fine. I'm so glad back. Man, getting off the plane. It's so weird living in a vacation place versus just visiting the vacation place. I walk off. I'm like, hallelujah. I love this place so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm thankful for everything. When I was in Colorado, I was trying to be thankful for, everything I had there too as well. But yeah. Nice to be back in Tampa. So you're feeling it too, Eric. Yeah, exactly, dude. It's like nice to visit, nice to taste that, especially right before Christmas. And then it's good to get back to the beautiful tropical goodness. Oh, you got the Laserdisc player? I still haven't. The Laserdisc is intriguing to me, but there's no way I'm going to do that. No way. I'm resisting. I do like the Laserdisc player that has the CD player capability. Like some of them I think will even play 5 discs or a single disc in the middle. That's just too bulky to start up another collection of 12-inch discs. But that's cool. That's cool for you. If I were to go back, would I do it again? I don't know. And that's an interesting one because Laserdisc was kind of like a 5-disc CD changer to me because it was something I never had. So I don't have nostalgia for my own sake. It's just something I always wanted. Could never afford that growing up. There's no way. The rich people had Laserdiscs. The rest of us got a VHS if we were lucky, and that was a special deal. If you taped it off the air, that was the par for the course versus, you got a pre-recorded video cassette, and that was fancy. But the idea of a Laserdisc, the only Laserdisc I have is on display over there. It's just because I remember wanting it. It was one of my favorite movies of all time, Grumpier Old Men, with Sophia Loren, Anne Margaret, Walter Matthau, and Jack Lemmon. One of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie. It's a happy place. It's not just a movie to me. It's 90 minutes of peace and happiness, and I always go back to watch it and enjoy it. But I remember seeing that Laserdisc on the shelf. So one day I found it at a thrift store or something, misfiled as a record, which happens a lot, calendars and Laserdiscs. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy it. It was like $3, $2, maybe $1. I don't have a Laserdisc player. I'm not getting one. And I don't even care about that. I just think it's a cool display piece. So yeah, that'd be really cool if there was a 12-inch, record album of that soundtrack because the music is good. Well, there's a song. The composer, who did that music? Oh gosh, I can't think of the composer's name, but he did a lot of like 90s movie scores. And there's a song called What the Heck. And it's one of the most beautiful waltz compositions I've ever heard in my life. Bar none, probably top 5 beautiful compositions. It's short. It's like 1minute and 10 seconds. It'll send shivers down your spine. And you can't find it anywhere. It's not on any streaming platform. It's not on, YouTube has some guy on piano playing it. But the only way to hear it is the CD, which is now out of print, soundtrack. Boy, that was a tangent. Is it safe to increase the weight of the counterweight? You want the counterweight closer to the pivot than it actually is. So the way to understand the counterweight is to be able to measure it first and foremost. So either using that balancing technique that I've demonstrated. If you search balancing a tone arm on the channel, I've done a dedicated video to that. Also, most of my record player reviews, I also talk about that. But in addition to that, it depends on the cartridge. The cartridge dictates the weight. So, and I was gonna say too, if you have a digital scale, that's even better. There's like a $10 scale you can get that you can make sure it's precisely a certain amount. But yeah, the cartridge is what it's all about. Usually elliptical styli, outfitted cartridges are going to track in the 1.5 to 2 gram range, a lot lighter than something that's conical that maybe 2.5 to 3.5 grams. Ceramic cartridges are going to require 5 to 6 grams. And this time of the year is like the absolute peak of our channel. Like our number one day of the year is routinely Christmas Day, because everybody's getting the record players. Like, how do I work this thing or whatever? And so there's a lot of tech support questions going on right now on the channel. I don't answer tech support questions for the most part because this isn't a tech support channel, and I'm not equipped or educated enough to provide tech support. And I also don't want the liability of it. So I don't do that. And not to be rude, but I allow most of the comments to stay on because I'm hoping as a community, we can answer, each other's questions. And I'm seeing a lot of people struggling with things like, do I just put a nickel on my head shell and it fixed the skipping and stuff like that? And you know what that does. So that's, even a penny on your head shell is going to ruin your tracking force and damage your records. So my answer to questions that come up are usually, if they're tech related questions, is usually a video. So if I get a lot of questions about a topic, my answer will probably be doing a video about it. So just be careful. Understand what the recommended tracking force of the cartridge is, and then you'll know how to set it or what to set it to. If you go to something like CES, bring a lot of hand sanitizer or risk convention flu. And Robert, that's it. So when we went to CES, it was on the dawn. It was the night before COVID Eve. It was the night before COVID and what happened was we saw a bunch of people there with masks on. And we're like, that's so weird. What are you doing wearing masks? This was January of 2020. Okay. So this was before, things that really, it was just starting to hit the news about some people overseas catching this illness. And there was a lot of people coughing, but, like you said, people at conventions, it's like airports. It's like if you make it through by the way, we made it through, 3 airports without getting sick. So it's a huge blessing. But yeah, that's exactly what we were afraid of. And sure enough, man, I got one of the nastiest, awful lung infections ever. Everybody that was around me got it. My wife got it. My parents got it because I was interacting with them before and after that trip. So I shared all those germs. And everybody had like a 3-week deep chest cough, cold. I had to be on steroids for like 3 weeks. In fact, if you look at the live stream or the videos that we did from CES in 2020, you will see me sick. There's this one video where I'm sitting in a chair, and we were at, where were we? We were at a mall or a casino or something. The casinos look like malls. And I was doing a live stream from a chair, I think, and just gasping like as an asthmatic. If you see me doing this, it's because I'm gasping for air. It's this asthmatic response to having compromised airways. And that was the beginning of bad cold, and so bad infection. Now, that was before, you know, the big C was really diagnosed and known, but it was starting to sprinkle into the news. I don't know if that was it. It was one of the notably worst, you know, illnesses I've had of that nature, and it fit all of the. I didn't lose my sense of taste or anything at the time. Years later, a year or two later, I did end up catching it. So I have had it at least once. At least I assume so. I've never tested positive for it, but there was one that was similar in terms of how I felt, and then I did lose my sense of taste for a few days, and it's returned to an altered state since then. Certain smells, like for instance, most fragrances, perfumes, smell like pure isopropyl alcohol to me instead of the perfume. Not all of them, but some of them do. So I'm pretty sure. I've never tested positive. I've always tested negative, but it makes me wonder. And all that to say, yes, that was something I was thinking about, and that's another reason why I might just be happy reading the press releases. But I love conventions. I love traveling, and you know, we did enjoy it. It was very fun. So yeah, it was something we considered, ultimately decided against. Favorite record player I got in 2024 was 1899 Edison's, the SL2000. Those are a couple great units, absolutely. Clay says, "Good evening. How are you doing? Hopefully you're doing well and had a good Christmas. I did receive my vinyl record from the giveaway and do appreciate everything. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you got it. Thank you so much. To all the winners of all the giveaways, congratulations, and thank you for the support. It's an honor to be able to give back like that. So we appreciate you guys so very much." When my mom was older, she had over Thanksgiving put up decorations. So that's a good tradition. Kind of get everybody in on it. That's cool. What do I think of Bon Iver? I don't know that artist. Back with a new record. Michelle, what do you have? Tell me what you have. What'd you get? Clay says, I do have the 180 gram reissue, the Miles Davis kind of blue 1959 inch. Yeah, one of my viewers, and I'm not sure if you're in the house here or not, gave me the audiophile version of kind of blue. It's incredible. It was much appreciated because my other copy was a very worn, very almost. If it wasn't an iconic album, I probably wouldn't have kept it. Like that's how the record's in good condition and then the cover's in rough condition. Sort of the case with the Patsy Cline debut album over there on the wall. The cover isn't the best, but the record is pretty good. That's cool. I have a CD version too, Clay, but I don't know if the remaster. I don't know what version it is. It's a fancy version. I know that. Clay says, "Can you play an SACD on a Blu-ray player?" Not by default. My understanding is you have to find a Blu-ray or a DVD player that says specifically SACD on it, and I have never found one that does. Okay, I'm getting messages on my phone, but not on my watch, but not on my phone. What does it mean? Okay. SACD is an interesting one. It basically gives you DVD audio quality on a CD. I don't have any SACDs. I'm also very happy with the quality of CD. I've never been like, this CD sucks. I need a higher resolution. Because I think it's all, like, I understand the need for like super high resolutions, like, you know, something above 16-bit, like 24-bit, 32-bit, 96 kilohertz, things like that, studio resolutions for the purposes of recording and mastering, because you need to have some headroom when you're losing generations during the mastering process. But then in terms of playback, you know, 16-bit is above our level of audible resolution anyway, from what I understand. So I don't know if it would sound better, but yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I've also, you know, I don't ever come into contact with SACD. It's very rare, maybe one a year in the wild. The one that I would be interested in first is the Patsy Cline Greatest Hits '67 album. They reissued it on SACD. Oh, game consoles might play SACDs. That's an interesting idea too. That's a good idea. Google search it. Absolutely. 2.5 months of boring. My dad used to tell me that was going back to school as a kid in January was the worst because there was no holidays coming up. It was just like back to the grind. Second semester always felt longer than first. Um, yeah, I get what you're saying. And also in Colorado, the winter was the worst during that time, and that's when it got the most intense was during the January to May. That was the real winter weather. Such a long winter. Like here, it's the summers you got to survive through. But I still think the worst summer here is better than the worst winter there. Just my opinion. First quarter of the year is a snore fest. Hey, you got to make your own fun, right? Steve's got skiing to look forward to. That's good. First half of this decade is over. That's a weird thought. Oh, interesting, Robert. Yeah, so you have the perfume smelling like pure alcohol, and it's so intense. I'll be sitting there and be like, "Holy cow, what is that?" It smells like somebody's holding the isopropyl under your nose. It's so powerful. It's very strange. Very. And when I lost my sense of smell or a taste, and I was regaining it, I also had a strong sense of anything with a vinegar in it, like buffalo sauce. The aroma of that also was very isopropyl-ish. Robert says no music this year, but last year I got a CD of Sierra Farrell's music. She's awesome. That's cool. That's really cool. Cool. Thanks, David, for the tip on the indie artist there. That's cool. Yeah, I agree. And Steve, it's always been about convenience over quality. So like that's why the MP3 and streaming is okay for most people because they're just like it's fine. I don't, they're fine with it. The threshold is high enough for them. It still sounds good enough. And all of us are sitting here trying to, fine tune to get these minimal increases. The Dream Times, welcome in. So yeah, those are the two CDs. My wife wanted me to show this to you. So she's really into gems and fossils and things like that. And when we were in Denver, we went to a gem shop, and she got this. Anybody know what this is? In the comments, let me know what this is. It's prehistoric. Yes, it was alive at one point. And then she also picked up this really cool piece of bismuth, which I guess when lab grown will form into these like Aztec temple looking steps. I've got a piece of this as well back from when I was a kid. But this one's got sort of an iridescent glow to it. Very, very trilobite, exactly. That's a trilobite. So like an ancient fossil of a trilobite there. Very surprised she wanted that. Like my wife is not a stuff person whatsoever. And if she wants something, usually it's like a car or something. It's like, well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? For me, it's like I want this $2 CD, this $5 record, that $10 record. Anyway, so we're in this shop just browsing, and she sees this, and she says to the guy, she says, "Is that cast or is that natural?" And he says, "That's natural. That's a natural one." And she says, "I'll take it." It was like, it was like $5 or less. It's not valuable, but I was like, really, a trilobite? That's the thing you want? You want an ancient? And she hates bugs with a passion. So why are you in Florida? It's that's a story. I could do a show just on that. It's actually been in a lot of ways better, and in a lot of ways even worse than you can imagine. The bug situation, as long as they're out of the house, which they are. So except for this guy, this is a bug that is in the house. But yeah, isn't that weird? I have one too. I went through this weird phase in the 90s. I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I went through this phase in the 90s. This is early 90s. This is like junior high era for me, where I was fascinated with mail order catalogs. And I would mail order stuff every couple of months. And it was so, I remember like filling out the sheet, figuring out how much money I had, usually spending like 13 to 15 bucks. And there was this company called Unique Collections, and they're long gone as far as I could tell. If they were around still, it'd be really cool. And it was a mail order catalog. I have no idea how I got a hold of the catalog. And they sold things like Civil War bullets, trilobite fossils, You know, all kinds of little fossils and rocks and gems and historic things, buttons from, you know, military buttons, reproduction patches, reproduction currencies from different countries. And I was so enthralled with it. And I remember one year I bought a trilobite. So somewhere I've got one of these guys in a box somewhere. But yeah, so she wanted me to show you that and the bismuth. And while I was in there too, I picked up something. Okay, this will be impressive. If you could tell me what this is. Now the shape, it's made in the shape of an egg, but that doesn't mean it was not naturally like this. So tell me what this is. It's heavy. It's got a glass type of texture and weight to it. Let me know what that is. I'll be curious if anybody guesses. I didn't know this existed. I didn't know this. It's got an iridescent kind of a pearl look to it. So Clay, the Bob Seger album. I saw that when I was in Denver. I had to go buy Second and Charles, video forthcoming on that. And I saw the Bob Seger Christmas album. They had like a colored vinyl pressing. It was an interesting package because the slipcase or the jacket had like a gap in the middle, kind of half circle shaped gap where you could see the color of the record. And I was like, oh yeah, it might have been you, Clay, that told me to pick that up. Separate slot for what brand is that one? Old Radios. Beatles 64 US albums in mono. It's a good box set. That's great, Alex. Did you get the X-ray glasses from the comic book ads? I did not, but I loved looking at those ads. And my dad and I still geek out about that. Like, send away for your own UFO. You know, get a submarine, and it's made of cardboard or something. My dad and I love that stuff. We just love. So I'll send him screenshots. For me, it was Boys Life magazine, and the back of Boys Life had that stuff. And yeah, X-ray glasses, snapping gum, invisible ink, hand buzzers, all that kind of magic tricks and things. So yeah, I think one time I did send in for some of that junk. Everything I remember being disappointed with. Like, really, this is really it. Heartland America. I remember that. They were selling record players in some of those catalogs as recently as like 10 years ago. Steve says, being in Fredericksburg, there's Civil War stuff everywhere. Oh man. And that's, you know, absolutely. I that was one of the hobbies. The history of the Civil War was one of my first like deep dive hobbies. I had a really good junior high school teacher who I'm still in kind of sort of contact with. He's retired now. Made a huge impression. My love for history that extends into all of this stuff and, you know, music, absolutely. All of it started from him, and it was really amplified by my dad's passion for history as well. And Civil War history is huge. So yeah, I love collecting those little knickknacks. When I was a kid, I collected like bullets, buttons, badges, books. I devoured the books. I've had the honor of being on a couple of Civil War battlefields. They're absolutely enthralling. To me, my most interesting part of the Civil War is Gettysburg, and that's something I've studied in absolute depth. And unfortunately, I've never had a chance to go yet. I would love to go, and I will go someday. But yeah, Fredericksburg is right up there. In fact, I think Fredericksburg happened right after Gettysburg, didn't it? So yeah, that's interesting. Is the white on the screen oscillating? It looks like there's like this oscillation going on right now. I don't know what's up with the internet tonight. The lighting is low, so I do have a light source over here, but it's a live stream. We're not doing the full 4K video like usual. Robert said, I keep wanting to say Roberto. Robert says, I bought a Riga P1 in May, saved $200 over the regular P1. The only difference is 2 tiny flaws on the base. This Christmas air replacement carbon cartridge with the 1895 yellow A++ sound. That's great, Robert. That's really cool. So glad to hear it. Amethyst, Steve is guessing. It's not amethyst. It's kind of a milky, clear, iridescent, light blue color. And it's coming across a little more solid than it is. Sorry for the mid-rolls, guys. Can't do anything about it. Clay says, with the holy grail of CDs I'm looking for is the original 83 pressing of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, as well as the 73 album release on vinyl. Those are the goals, huh, Clay? That's cool. Pioneer. I love Pioneer stuff. Still have the Pioneer PLX 500 over here. Michelle says, I adjusted my counterweight on my new record player by looking at the video you made, and the tracking force scale is a useful gadget to have. I agree about the gauge. Thank you for using the video, Michelle. What unit did you get? Steve says there's a YouTube channel where they actually ordered stuff from that suit. I think I saw that. I need to look that up again. That's cool. I did get the little baking soda powered submarine. I always like the toys and the cereal. I don't know if they do that still. A lot of times they're like vouchers, like you say, you know, send in coupons. We got some records that were like that, some voucher records. Yeah, it's not amethyst. I work as a caregiver, and my client turns 90 soon. He loves music, still has records, and loves music. I suggested an all-in-one player for him, debating between Angel's Horn or Electro Home Kingston. Excuse me, Liz, that's wonderful. First of all, you're doing the Lord's work there. Thank you so much. Wonderful that he loves music. I always think about that video of that ballerina that had dementia, and she comes to life when she hears the music again, starts dancing with her hands and stuff. Either of those would be good. They really, really would. I think that would serve that purpose well. Absolutely. Oh, nice, Clay. That's cool. Robert says Moonstone or Opal. Opal, you're getting closer. It's not quite either of those, but you're getting closer. I remember the flexi discs on cereal boxes. Yeah, absolutely. When you say all-in-one, Clay, what does it need to have? Still have that sealed Patsy Cline tape. Just need your address. Jerry, thank you so much, my friend. Sorry for the coughing. Oh, man. Just have a tickle in my throat. Not a sickness tickle, like an allergy. So, Jerry, the address is in the About. If you go to our About tab, you'll be able to find it in there. And I thank you so much for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. Old Radio says, Mike, get a 1902 Columbia phonograph this year. Thank you. Saves the day once again. Thank you so much. I already had one of these. Can you drink 2 Gatorades in one day? Is that okay? Right. I'll be very hydrated. The electrolytes will be off the chart. AM/FM stereo radio, stereo cassette player. That's the trick. Finding an all-in-one with a stereo cassette player and CD player, also record player with a headphone jack. Wow. Okay, so yeah, you do want it all. You know, the wooden kind of Victrola and Crosley all-in-ones would do all of that, except they wouldn't be this. The tape player is going to be mono. I mean, maybe they've upgraded that, but that's the biggest risk. Man, there's some great, incredible looking ones Victrola is releasing now. I'll tell you what one is cool. Let's see. I'm going to look it up. Dun, 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 dun. There's a really, really cool. I should just go to their website. I was going on Amazon. I should go to their website. It's actually probably acid reflux. I have this acid reflux problem, and I just all of a sudden will start coughing like that for like 30 seconds, and then it'll stop. I use a Victrola Liberty, which is as a little leg stands. And it's just the record player, but it's got the same kind of form factor. But I also have one of the 6-in-1 all-in-ones that I think it's called an Empire now. Yeah, the Empire. That's a really good unit. Sounds warm, sounds really good. Tape player, I don't know if it's going to be stereo or not. But I saw, oh, yeah. This Century, what is that called? Isn't that called the same? Oh, yeah. The Century 6-in-1 wooden record player, $150. It's got these little stubby legs. Does it have a CD player, though? It says it's 6-in-1, so it must. It's got, the styling is cool. I like the natural light color wood one. I might be buying one of those to review. CD and cassette players, vinyl stream, so it streams out Bluetooth, built-in stereo speakers, 3-speed turntable. It's got a total mid-century modern vibe to it, so I would check that out. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I think it's probably pretty cool. It's a pretty good deal, $150 for that. I still like that stuff. You know, and it's so funny. People in this community are always like, the best or nothing at all. And I am just totally a different viewpoint. I love having good sounding turntables. I have turntables that sound great. But sometimes I just like to whip out a portable record player for fun. You know what I mean? And just enjoy the sound that it makes and experience that. And, you know, step away from the hi-fi and kind of explore different things like cartridges and, you know, the feature sets and the, you know, cartridge. And that's, I said that. Anyway, all that stuff. It's kind of fun just to kind of, you know, play with different types of units as well, in addition to having like a hi-fi unit. Steve said, what is your budget like? Oh, that's cool. Radio, it's really cool. I've been coughing for 2 days, something in the air. You know, a lot of people back in Colorado were coughing too. Alex got a rare Victor one-sided record. It's silver plated. Those are cool. Those are amazing. I've got a couple of those. Those are really, really neat, especially the ones that have like the logo stamped on the blank side. Mini disc clay. I feel like I'm missing something there, old radios. My mini disc player is acting up again. My my gear. I got my little portable Sony one that my friend gave me for my birthday. That one's working great. Dreamtime says a buddy of mine works in an emergency room. There's nasty flu room. I wouldn't doubt it. I've heard so many people coughing. Old radio says my mini disc and DCC player broke down this year. So yeah, rare formats took a hit. It's hard to find those, man. Mini disc especially. It's just like it's getting more expensive too. You used to be able to get a decent player for $25 to $50, and now play-only units are way more than that. And component units are even more. It's just, you know, well, obviously they're not making them anymore. So there's as our units break down, the market is more and more condensed. DCC, never got into it, never will. Great format. It's just not one that I'm going to go down that route. Apple cider vinegar. So I did that for quite a while. I took the straight apple cider vinegar, and then I took the apple cider vinegar gummies. And then when I went through my medical situation last year, I got prescribed famotidine, basically to kind of keep it down. And it usually does pretty good. But if I have things like gum and coffee and things that can spike it, or just randomly happens, it's way more under control now. I agree, though. Apple cider vinegar is good. Just don't let it touch your teeth. The gummies are a godsend, I think, for the apple cider vinegar. I should start taking the gummies again. That's a good idea. Thanks for reminding me about that. Steam humidifiers, yes, those are good too. But I'm not sick. Just to clarify, I'm not sick. It was acid reflux. I'm good. Steve says a Victrola 6-in-1 is on sale now for $95. That's a good deal. I broke the leg to my Victrola 111 while moving it. Oh, I hate it when that stuff happens, man. I broke another Glenn Miller record, 78, a couple weeks back. It hurts so bad. It just breaks my heart. I don't even know what I did. I think it was, I pulled it out of the album, and it was, in fact, I didn't break, well, I did break it, but I didn't know I had broken it. It was one of those old school albums with the paper sleeves, and I was pulling it out to do something, and I was like, oh, man, it snapped. I hate that. I hate that. I know. It's painful, dude. I was so surprised I was able to move everything from Colorado to here. If you haven't seen our video on moving my entire vinyl collection to Florida, check that out. I'm not a fan of any of the modern cassette players. Not having Dolby noise reduction just kills it for me. That's a good point. None of them do. The players are they're starting to have some really good ones. Like the Klim is good. It's, people don't want that to be a good one for some reason. They want to say it's just the same old thing. But it's it's similar, not quite, but it's similar to the We Are Rewind and the FIO. But yeah, none of them have Dolby noise reduction. But for me personally, I'm not a Dolby noise reduction fan. I think it's fine, and I will use it lightly. I'll use B, but I'll never use C. It's just too muddy. It's too muddy. And yeah, it does, you knock down the hiss, and I know how it works. We've done videos on that too. But it's just the byproduct is always just a muddier sound. My Yamaha deck, I've got a nice Yamaha cassette deck here. Even if I do have a Dolby tape and I'm decoding it, one thing I do to kind of mitigate that is I have a play trim, and I'll turn that up high, and that kind of brings back a little of the crispness. And back when I was a kid and I had cassettes, the whole idea of tape hiss was the enemy, right? And that's why we love Dolby. But now I just don't care. To me, it just doesn't matter at all. I'm just like, I hear a little hiss, I'm like, it's fine. It's like record crackle and popping. I'm just not one of those people that gets triggered by it. So I'd rather have the full frequency, the full, sound of the recording, the full spectrum, and a little bit of hiss. And if anything, tweak the trim the treble down a hair to mitigate it. But I think it's actually kind of fun because you can play with tape mixtures, and you can really hear the benefit of a Type 1 tape to a Type 2 or a Type 3 or a Type 4, excuse me. And also the qualities of tapes. Like if you take a light brown, cheap, regular cassette tape material versus like a rich, dark, almost black mixture, even at Type 1, you'll notice that the hiss properties are completely different. So you can get nice low hiss tape without using any technology to manage that. And I know a lot of people, that's not good enough for them. But for me personally, that's the way I feel. Also with the reel-to-reel, I feel that I'm also playing with tape mixtures more than I am, thinking about eliminating hiss. Wow and Flutter gets better for me over time with those tape players. Once you play them, the belts kind of settle in and whatnot. So I don't hear any audible wow and flutter after maybe 20 minutes of using those new ones. So and the thing is if you've got a heavy flywheel, it makes all the difference. All three of those have metal flywheels, so the speed evens out, and it's nice. I think it's really, really nice. So give it a shot. I know some people just won't, but problem is the older mechanisms, are breaking down and requiring capacitors and things like that. Clay says, yeah, I'm also wanting to get, I'm looking for one NP cartridge. Which cartridge? NP. About 3 portable Gerard turntables all have issues with the preamps. Really? Are they newer or are they older? Michelle says, my new record player is an all-in-one with a big speaker on the front, similar to one you reviewed by a company called Clear Soul. That's a 3600L cartridge. Really good sound. That's cool. Dreamtime says, I remember back in the day when people would pay huge money for systems, and while the stats looked great on paper, most people's ears couldn't hear the difference. And it's all subjective. It's all subjective, right? I can't tell you what's right or wrong. People just have to have their own opinions. It's so subjective. It's so subjective. Everybody in this, that's why there's so many people out there yapping on YouTube about record players, because it's so subjective. I know that, and I try to keep it front and center by not saying this is fact unless I know it to be. If it's subjective information, I try to make sure that that it's my opinion or my experience. All right, so nobody quite got it. This is opalite. I didn't know opalite existed. It's a man-made glass material that is designed to closely mirror the appearance of opal. So it's an opalite egg. Why? I can't tell you why I bought this. I just think it's cool. I like to take gems and minerals to it. So there you go. Old Radio is talking about the mid-rolls. Sorry, man. Yeah, YouTube just does what it's going to do. And everybody gets different. So I apologize for that. The new recorded cassettes without Dolby do not have the high-end dynamics. Because, Jerry, I think in that case, they're relying on the tape mixture. Like I have some of the same. And the tape mixture really kind of, in my experience, again, there I go, prefacing that, is going to have limitations in terms of fidelity. So if a cheaper tape that they're using doesn't have those highs, and you're not using the Dolby process to kind of condense that, kind of fold that higher frequency audio in a bit, then yeah, you're going to realize the limitations of the tape. But that's also kind of what's fun, is playing around with different mixtures of tape and finding those premium ones that really have a lot of high end, a lot of headroom. Another thing to play with is the HX Pro formatting, and that only is done on the record side. So, excuse me, if you can record an HX Pro tape, and it will not require an HX Pro machine to decode, unlike Dolby. So you can benefit the headroom recording at the HX Pro setting. Most like mid to higher end decks have it, like this Yamaha has it. Yeah, Dolby BCNR HX Pro. But if I buy a cassette of something nowadays, it's not going to be like, I'm not going to be like, and this is just me. Do I say that before I say everything? Now I'm very self-conscious. For me, if I get a tape, it's not probably going to be the only copy of that I have. It would be like an extra thing for fun. It wouldn't be like, I have the so-and-so album and I only have it on cassette. Although that is probably the case with some stuff. I do have some cassettes that I don't have elsewhere. But if I have a favorite album that I really want to get a copy of, something, I'm probably not going to go straight to the cassette for my first one and only copy. Indian boards for my DCC unit when they work again. Sounds like a project Old Radio. Sounds like kind of my mini disc deck. The problems with that thing. I do have an on-brand, full-functioning cassette recorder and player that plays cassettes in mono, but sounds great. Interesting. Is it portable play, or is it like a component in it? Loved your Bing Crosby Merry Christmas video. I have a copy of that album from Mexico, not in the best condition, but plays well. That's cool, Alex. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. Should mix mine with water before breakfast and dinner. I screwed up replacing the belt on my component mini disc machine. Not only plays back mini disc, but no more recording. They're so finicky. I take famotidine also in the evening. Interesting. It does seem to work. I do notice it because yesterday, or whatever day it was, what day was it? 2 days ago? Whenever we flew back, we were up like 20 hours because we left at like 2 a.m. Denver time. That was fun. And as such, I didn't take my morning dose of medicine because I was on the plane. And that afternoon, I noticed I was having more of the acid reflux. That's true, Jerry. Cassettes recorded with Dolby sound good played back without it. In fact, one thing that I talk about is that if you have a Dolby recorded tape and you play it back on a non-Dolby machine, it's going to sound a little brighter, but not bad. It's very listenable. You can listen to a Dolby tape on a non-Dolby machine, but it actually is a very good thing in a lot of ways because some of the modern cassette player mechanisms use heads that have a lower fidelity. So they're more of a muddier sounding head. And having a kind of crisper sounding recorded tape, because of the fact that it's Dolby encoded and played back without Dolby, can kind of mitigate that. So it can kind of make those machines sound a little brighter and that full function, and the muddiness of the head kind of peels back a little bit of the hiss too. So it actually works really, really well in that regard. Agreed. Do I live stream music? No, because YouTube won't let me just purely stream music. I've put up a few records that don't have copyright restrictions for YouTube, but it's rare. When I started this channel, it was originally supposed to be a record channel about records, studying the history of records, and it wasn't supposed to be about the gear. But people wanted the gear, and they didn't really want to hear what kind of records I liked as much. So I limit that a bit, but I'm not gonna. Oh wait, you're asking if I stream music to listen? Okay, sorry. It just occurred to me. I thought you were asking me if I provided if on. Okay, sorry, it's late. I've only had one good night's sleep since we've been back. Yes, I do. I have an Apple Music account. I use it extensively. If I'm not at home, I don't travel with any of my stuff. I've tried taking portable CD players, cassette players when we travel. It just ends up being clunky and cumbersome. So yeah, I absolutely Apple Music, love it all the way. Apple lossless, BAAACK files. It's premium. It's good sounding. I love it all. I listen to all of every kind of format that I've got available. Absolutely, streaming is great. Sorry, I had totally misinterpreted that very simple question. You have Michael Jackson's Thriller. I almost got, you know what I almost picked up today? I was this close. I almost picked up a copy of Michael Jackson's Off the Wall picture disc, but I didn't do it. I do like that album. It's got some good music. Most of the time, if it says Dolby without saying A, B, or not A, if it says B or C, it doesn't say B or C, it's B. B is sort of the default. Dolby S, I did get a Dolby S deck. That's the one that can do CD quality if you have Type 4 metal tape. But I wasn't. It was too late. It came out too late. CDs annihilated that. It was irrelevant by the time it hit the market. But again, I don't like the Dolby, so it's just, to me it sounded muddy, and I didn't like that. I'd rather have a little brighter sounding with hiss than muddy with no hiss. Tip for storing cassette tapes, VHS Betamax tapes, is not to store them laying flat, but on edge. Store them into the tape, rewind and play. Puts even tension on tape. That's good advice. That's really good advice. Records, on the other hand, sound better on modern systems. Direct drive audio. That's a very subjective statement, because a lot of people will say that the vintage sounds the best, etc. Technics 1200 LPX. Yeah, direct drive. My opinion on direct drive is that it's okay, and I get the application of it for DJ use when they need to spin something up quick and they need more torque. But I'm like, the Pioneer over here is a direct drive unit. Some people, I'll be like, oh, you can't, a belt drive is terrible and nothing but direct drive is okay. Well, what's the point? Well, who cares if it spins the record at the right speed? And you maybe say, well, the motors are noisy. The problem of noisy motors and belts, that is not a problem anymore. It just doesn't happen. New units don't have, motor noise problems that get into the audio. Now, entry level, plastic, any difference. There's no motor rumble from the direct drive, which is a complaint of direct drive people. There's no motor noise and speed issues with the belt for the belt drive people. To me, I think it's personal preference. I honestly think that. I like both. I don't have anything against either one. Yeah, you won't have to replace a belt on a direct drive. But is it that big of a deal to replace a belt? The 1NP red cartridge, that's the one I'm talking about. I don't know if I feel like I've reviewed that at some point, but I don't really recall. My phone faceplate, I've reviewed the clarinet, one of the clarinets. And cassette door, big radio dial, plastic lid, and then the BSR changer. And my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side had one of those consoles, and that had a BSR mechanism in it too. I remember those. My dad had a Michael Jackson Thriller and cassette, and they robbed his copy of the cassette. That's terrible. Yeah, for me it was cassettes. My copy of Bad by Michael Jackson, I wore it out, I had to buy another one. Yeah, HX Pro is the way to go. Hey, that rhymes. I need an AC3 decoder for my lasers player. Interesting. Taylor Swift on cassette. Yeah, a lot of the modern, poppy stuff is going to be issued on that. Is there a way to upload on a computer old cassette tapes? I have an old tape of a friend's band I'd like to burn on CD. Surprise me. There is. So what you would do is you would get, let's see, there's a couple ways to do this. So there are some cassette players that have a USB connection, but they're typically lower quality. Let me look at this Klim one right here. I keep looking over here. This Klim here. Does this? Okay, so this unit, this might be a good unit for it. So this is the new Klim, and it has a stereo head. It's got actually the same head, I think, or very similar to what they're using in the We Are Rewind and the FIO units. But it's got an SD card slot, so you don't even need a computer. And then you can record by hitting the record button. It'll play from the tape and record to SD in an MP3 format. Then you can use like Windows Media Player and burn a CD. So yeah, it can be done. There are also cassette players that have USB jacks. Additionally, the best high quality way to do it would be to get a USB sound card. I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is right now. That has an audio jack in it, because most laptops these days, computers, don't have aux inputs. They have headphone outputs. But if you want to, take audio in, you would need some sort of like a USB sound card, and you plug the line output of whatever cassette player you want. It could be a high-end Yamaha. Doesn't have to be modern. It could be a vintage one if you like an old Sony Walkman. And then get this program called Audacity. It's a free program, and you can record to not just MP3. You can record WAV files, really high quality stuff. That would be the most high quality way to do it. But the easiest, most budget friendly would be like this Klim here. I think this is like $40, and you could do it without even a computer involved, except for burning it. So you're welcome, Music Junkie. I'm glad it got to you. So glad you got it. Play says component systems, a mobile portable cassette player. Oh, I see. Okay. That would be fun. I would love to do that. I've seen a guy that does that with like 78s, but I get pinged even on 78 sometimes. It just depends. A lot of times I'll get pinged on stuff by it's not even a legitimate copyright claim. I have successfully fought a few of those in the past. That's cool, analog vintage gamer. Really cool. Yeah, off the wall's good stuff. Oh wow, Jerry, that's amazing. That's really cool. That's cool, Music Junkies. Go Knicks. Swear by direct drive. A lot of people do. Never had a noise problem with them. I haven't either. I think a lot of the issues that people say, well, you can't do this or you can't do that, I feel like those have been mitigated long ago. But those stereotypes, or those not stereotypes, those opinions just kind of linger even past their prime. I wanted the RC60, but some knucklehead seller didn't pack it good enough and it broke. Oh man, eBay can be tricky, right? You don't know if you'll get it in one piece. Yeah, if you find a suitcase player direct drive, that's harder to find for sure. I don't even know if I've ever seen one. Acoustic Solutions SP131. Let me look it up. Never heard of it. Never heard of this one. Let me check it out. Man, the internet is so slow tonight. Everybody's online, I guess. Okay, I just want to hit the back button. Okay. Interesting. Huh. Is this new or is this old? Obviously, it looks similar to like that same gimbal that Crosley uses on the C100 and C200. That's a good gimbal. This looks like a hand-pinned turntable to me. The platter also looks like it's the one from the Crosley uses on C100, C200. I think it looks like a good unit. I haven't, and I see the punch out for the queuing light. They don't use that. Yeah. This and the buttons for the speed and the power switch. So this looks like very, very, very similar to a C100, which is a good turntable. It's like a bare bones version of like a Audio-Technica LP120. So I'd say, yeah, that looks good. The company Handpin makes almost all the Audio-Technicas and the higher end Crosleys and the Pioneers. They make good stuff. They make really good stuff. So I think that looks like a good unit. What country are you in? Or where did you buy that? That might be maybe a non-US unit. I'm not sure, but that is cool. Yeah, Robert. I've got a 45 of Michael Jackson. Don't stop till you get enough. In fact, I think it's right down here. I think. Yeah, and that's true, Clay. A lot of these ones are that have the USB and stuff. The Klim is an exception. Good stereo head, and makes good recordings. I recorded some stuff. That audio book. What's his name? Patrick Stewart. Sounds like Jimmy Stewart. Patrick Stewart. Yeah, reading the Night Before Christmas. I recorded that for my own use on this. Sounds good. This is a cool one too because it's got a rechargeable battery. Oh my gosh, did he say rechargeable batteries are good? Well, this one is a removable rechargeable battery. It's easy as popping that off and replacing it. It's a rechargeable battery. Replaceable rechargeable battery. Jalen, welcome in. Jalen is a member sporting the very cool little R. If you want to become a member, join the Record-ology Inner Circle for the cost of $1. No, $1 doesn't. How do I say it? It's not, I was going to say a cup of coffee, but it's even cheaper than that. It's $1 a month, and you can be on the Inside Circle. Early access to certain videos, exclusive content, and most importantly, a special thanks for me for being there. Thank you for all the support. Hi, Record-ology. I really enjoy your channel. Wanted to thank you for the amazing content you put on this year. You are epic. No, you are epic. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. I really, really appreciate you. I appreciate everybody, but Jalen, especially you. Thank you so very much. Trying to get caught up on comments. Sorry about that. Oh, interesting old radios. Rare recordings. Yeah, Craig. I remember those. Craig stuff was kind of wasn't the best. It was kind of stuff I always had that kind of stuff though. Did you ever get a Kraftwerk album? Was that the kind that I have the audiophile version of Kind of Blue? Maybe. C Crane, definitely good stuff. Yeah, you're right. We've never seen a comeback in idler wheel technology. That's a good point. And they work good. I mean, they're usually very spot on. I mean, and accurate and like very reliable. Assuming the rubber stays in good condition, that's a good point. With no divots. They should make a record player with some funny looking head shell that looks like licking the record. You know, I've seen Mickey Mouse's arm reaching over the record. I've seen my Big Bird, Little Bird, Sesame Street record player has a fun tone arm. Christmas and Happy New Year, Marilyn. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being there. Thank you for all the support. Really, really appreciate all of you. Idler wheels rumble, but they were amazing on classic dual units. Yeah, I'm thinking about the Idler in like some portables I've got, and in the also in the 49 Philco as well. So yeah. Interesting. Yep. Happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Just thank you for being there. Absolutely. A living legend. I'm far from that, but thank you so much, Ben. I would love to. I want to get my hands on one of those. That would be really, really cool. Craig was Sanyo? Interesting. It felt like Sanyo. I guess that makes sense. And Happy New Year as well. Absolutely. What was your favorite Christmas album issued in 2024? That's a good question. Favorite Christmas album issued this year. I liked the do I have it up here? I enjoyed the new version of White Christmas with V from BTS with Bing Crosby just because it was unique and new. Also, in Orlando, which is an amazing vocal group. If you haven't heard them before, it's incredible music, and not just Christmas music. What a show! One of the best concerts I've ever been to. And I picked up their Christmas album. I think that it's, well, I guess it came out a couple years ago. It's new to me. What else came out this year, Christmas-wise? That's a good question. I'll have to think about that one. Super Dogs 55. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Any feedback to Victor Clavia RDM2? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. I apologize. Okay, I'll have to check that out, Music Junkie. Thanks for the tip. Ghost Riders by the Outlaws. That's cool. Okay, my recommendation for a first turntable right now is going to be the Audio Technica LP70X. That's just great. Yeah, it's like $200. Get the one without Bluetooth unless you really, really need Bluetooth. I think it's $199, something like that. Check out a review on it. LP70X by Audio Technica. If you want it even a little cheaper than that, Audio Technica LP60X is also good. All right, my friends. I am going to stop there. Once again, we've had too much fun, and it's gone almost an hour and a half. I really, really appreciate you guys, and I'm thankful for you, and not just for being here tonight, but for being here throughout the year. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful break. Hope you're having a good holiday season, and pray for you guys for health, peace, wellness, prosperity, all those good things. And just want you to know that I really appreciate you. So thank you for that. Also, good stuff coming. We got things lined up to review. We've got some surprises coming that I can't wait to share with you. Some stuff that's been cooking for a while, and some new products that are coming out with CES coming out. Even though I won't be in Vegas this year for that, I will be definitely introducing some things into the YouTube world, probably before other people do. We'll see. It's sort of a competitive landscape out there, but really, really, really appreciate it. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much. Take care of one another, and we will see you again real soon. Happy record, honey. See you next time.